guys, this is Zenovio, and I would like to welcome you to my first drawing tutorial. Now, this is episode 1 of season 1 of my character tutorial series. Now, what I plan to do is upload at least one video a week for now. Make sure I keep myself to that goal, because I have told you guys before that I want to do stuff throughout the week and I haven't gotten to that or been able to get to that. So I want to make sure that I'm able to at least upload one video during the weekends. Like every weekend I want to at least upload one video. So this is the first of that promise, I guess you could say. And it's going to be episode 1 of my drawing series. Now this episode we're going to cover how to draw eyes. Now I'm doing 3 sets of this, and I'm going to do 3 sets for every season. Like season 1 is purely eyes. We're going to learn how to color them in Photoshop. We're going to learn how to color them in colored pencil here. We're going to learn how to draw them in 3 different styles. Comic book eyes, a stylized manga eye, and then also stylized cartoon eyes, just straight out of like comic strips and stuff like that. So yeah, let's get started. So the first eye that I want to cover is the comic book eye. Now this is this type of eye. As you can see, it's on a semi-realistic type of style. It's got, most anatomically, the most anatomically correct eyes you can get with a cartoon style. It's got like individual eyebrow strands. It's got eyelash strands. This is probably as close as you can get to a real eye without making it hyper-realistic. So what I want to do for you guys today is teach you guys how to draw that comic book eye. So what I normally start with is a simple oval. So now this is just for a generalized eye. This isn't for like if you want to make a specific character with a specific type of eyes. I will teach you guys how to do that here in a few minutes, but this is just a generalized eye for now. So I normally start off with just an oval, and then the top part of the eye for me usually consists of about 3 lines. An inward arcing line right here, symbolizing sort of like the part of your eye that's facing your nose that's on top. The top arc, which comes down here, and then an outward arcing line on the back end. So these are the 3 lines that I normally use for my comic booky type eyes. Now, this can be used for both male and female eyes. I'll show you how to differentiate those here in a minute. So next, the bottom usually consists of 2 lines for me, and that would be a bottom line that comes to a point over here on this part right here. That would come to a point, and then an eye duct, which is this roundabout part right here. Now you want to make sure you keep this in size with the oval that you originally drew. Now, depending on how thin or how thick or how wide or how short you make your oval depends on what size eye you're going to make. Now, after this, what I do is I add the pupil. Now, for nearly anatomically correct eyes, the pupil is always a circle. I mean, unless you're like creating your own like art style from scratch and you want to make oval eyes or just something like that, anatomically correct eyes always have circle irises. And then inside with the same thing you would make a pupil, and I would say this pupil takes up, I don't know how exactly you would measure it, but this pupil takes up, I would say, about maybe 3/4 of the iris, and then you would color that in inside. And then one other aspect that I normally add to make this a little more realistic is a little eye shine up here. Just a little shininess up there. That would be like the reflecting of the light onto your eyes. So now that we've got the iris on the inside, we can go on about adding a little more detail to the eye. So what I always add is where your eyelid crease is what it's called. So I always make like a little Y. I make a little line here, curving, that's in line with this, and then directly above this corner here, like straight up, I bend that line and have it follow the top here. Now this is always directly above. It doesn't come out like that. It doesn't diagonally come out and meet up. It's always directly above. And then after that, I continue the line this way to make it look like a Y. And then that's how you get your eye crease. Now, another thing that I had to add a little more realism to my comic book eyes is have the nose crease on the outside of the eye, or on the inside of the eyes, I should say, towards the inward of the face. So I always add that little nose crease right there. So that's pretty much the details you can add for like the skin on the outside of the eye. Then what I add, this is going to be a female eye, I add eyelashes. Now I'm not saying that for male eyes you don't add eyelashes. You can do that if you want to go for more of a hyper-realistic look for your comics or your drawings in general. But I always like to keep eyelashes more on the feminine side. That's just for my own personal use though. So what I normally do for eyelashes is I don't just make lines like that like most people would. I try to keep them a little randomized. I try to keep them a little unpredictable almost. So like even to me, I don't know what lines I'm making until, they're done. So whenever I go, I try to just make them as random as possible. All going in one general direction, of course, but I try to make them a little bit random because that looks a lot better than just arcing eyebrows. Now this all depends on, again, what style you're trying to go for, but this is my personal art style. So I do a little bit of a random line. And then as the eyelashes go on, they don't stay the same length throughout. What I normally do is I have them get thicker as they get to this bottom corner here. And then also I have eyelashes on the bottom that get thinner as they go in. So they get thicker as they get towards the center of the eye. So that's how you do those eyelashes. And then also for females, I tend to darken up the top line a little bit. I try to go around and darken up this top line. Just, I don't know specifically why, but it just adds more of a feminine touch for me personally. Now, this is probably what's going to make the major difference of your whole male versus female drawing, is the eyebrows. So, there's not really much advice that I can give for eyebrows, considering normally when I draw eyebrows, I try to eye it up. Like, I know that some people have, like, from the pupil to here is where the arc goes, and different stuff like that, but the best I can tell you is sort of go, like, directly up from the eye duct, and start there. And then, depending on how far the eyebrows come in or come out, if you're trying to draw a specific person, and then from this origin point where you draw your first line, is sort of where I point the rest of the eyebrows. Now, you want to make them curving outward, almost like a sun ray type effect. And then you always start thicker and then get thinner, depending on, like, again, I'm saying this is a generalized eye. So, now that we've done this, we can go in and do, like, simple shading and stuff like that. Like, I normally like to go around the edge on the outside and do, like, little shading just to show that there's an overcast from the eyelid. And then I go in here, and then I normally start in the iris really dark, and then I lighten it up as I get to the bottom, so to where there's almost nothing. So that's how I lighten the iris. So that's the first eye. I'll get back with a fresh piece of paper, and I'll show you guys how to make stylized eyes. Or not stylized, but like eyes, comic book eyes for your characters. Alright guys, I'm back with my fresh piece of paper, and now I'm going to teach you how to make eyes for your character. So, I've already taught you guys how to make the oval eye. I'm just going to put that up over here. Make a quick sketch real quick of the eye, just so we have that reference out of the way. So we know we've already completed the oval eye. We've already completed the oval eye. Alright, so guys, we already know we've already completed this, but now I'm going to teach you how to customize the eyes to fit your character. So, say you want to go with, let's go with a male character this time. So you want to go with a male character, and he's more of a masculine, shady type character, so that's what we'll write up here. We'll just keep this on its own. Masculine, and shady. So now we've got our two guidelines. So when you think of a masculine type character, you think really buff, sort of maybe thin eyes. So you would go with a thin shape. Or not thin, but probably smaller pupils, I would say, for a masculine guy. So, and then shady, you would go with the really small iris and then the thin eyes. So when you go shady, you want to make almost a thin box shape. Almost like a rhombus, I would say. A slanted rectangle, you could say. So when you do that, you make your arc line along this sideline, your top line, and then you try to fit this arc along with this line. Like, obviously you're not going to make it all the way because this still has to be arced to your right or to your left depending on which side you're drawing the eye on. But then you just bring it back with here. So you bring that down over the side, you add your eye duct, and then now you've got the shape of your eye. So, like we said before, he probably has smaller irises. And considering he's shady, he's probably not going to have an eye shine. So we'll just leave that blank and give him smaller pupils. So now we've got this eye, and now for the shadiness of him, I'll probably add some more shading to the white of his eye, and then make his irises almost black. Like, just give him a really dark shading. And then you would go on the outside and not darken it up to the point where we did the female eye before. Like, I forgot to do that over here. Make it a little more feminine over here. But you would darken it up so you would give the top line a little volume. Since this is a masculine eye, we won't be adding any lashes. So you want to still give that volume that eye is there. And now for here, you add the eye. Oh, one more thing. When you're making him shady, you want this line to cut over the iris a little bit. You don't want to show the full iris. Give him almost like a miserable, tired, eerie type look. You add this, you want to make this a little shallower because he's tired, he's eerie, he's shady. I want to outline the iris a little bit, make that look a little more pronounced. And then for guys, I'm just going to erase this, probably put shady on top of masculine those. Shady. Now guys, I have no idea if I spelled that right, so just bear with me. But now for the eyebrows. A man's eyebrows, when you think masculine, are normally thicker. So what I like to do for guys is sort of box out the eyebrows before I draw them. So I want his eyebrows to go like that. Same rules as before, I want to have them originate from that spot. Probably slim that down a little bit. Just make a few. And then probably add a bit of shading to him specifically, like around, just to make it seem more shady, more like a darker personality type of person. So now we've got shady and masculine, and now we can move on to maybe, let's do more of a bubbly type character. So if we want to go bubbly, we can go for Let's try a circle. We'll do a circle. So now that we've got our circle, we do the same thing that we did over here. Probably we could, instead of going as jagged edged as we've gone with these, we can maybe transition them and curve them together a little more. So now you've got your top arc, and that goes straight into here. So you can barely tell that there's two different lines here, but they're prominent enough. Then you've got your bottom arc and your eye duct. So now you've got these. For this you want to go with large. And then for bubbly, you want to get the effect that they're happy. So I would probably add 2 eye shines, one on the top and one on the bottom, and then give them larger pupils. And then instead of making their iridge jagged Y shapes like this, you could make it just a simple curve. 2 curves. It still comes in a Y, but you can make it a little more curvy. So in general, you would want to make this a little more curvy. Make this iridge a little smaller. And then I'm going to make this a female, so add the eyelashes. So now we've got the eyelashes and the eyebrow. For females, I typically make the eyebrow more thin. So let's start off on the outside and then come its way around. And then since it's bubbly, it's going to have a more happy expression. So I'm going to arc the eyebrow kind of high. So let me move the camera so you can see that. I'm going to arc the eyebrow more high. So now you've got this high arcing eyebrow. And you don't want to shade the iris too much. Just shade it slightly so you can tell it's a different color than the rest of the eye. So now you've got your more bubbly, wide-eyed, girly character. So now we've got our generalized eye, our masculine and shady, and our bubbly. So these are just 3 simple ways that you can do this. You can try it out with different, more complex shapes. Like instead of a circle and a rectangle, maybe you want to go for, let's go right under here and do a half moon. You want to do something like that. Make sort of like a cheeky sort of character. So we'll write that here, cheeky. I have no idea if I spelled that right. I highly doubt I did. Hold on, I think it's cheeky. There we go. So we want to make a cheeky sort of character. We line it up with the way we did our shape. Yeah, tear duct. Now cheeky, I'd say go about mid-range pupils. Not too big, but not too small either. A single eye shine. I'll go with, move pencil. We'll make it a female. And then, darken the iris a little bit. You can darken it a little more because it's not super cheery. So you can darken this a little more. Your eye crease and then your eyebrows. It's still female, so you still want to go a little thin. Don't want to make them too thick. But they're not as high arcing as they were up here. So now you've got this cheeky sort of character, and then you can also add the actual cheekbone here and make it blush a little bit. Just add a little bit of shading down here. That would suggest that there's a blushed cheek. So there's the cheeky eye. And now let's say you want to get a little creative. So you do a sideways teardrop, let's just say. You make the point over there, you make the outside really round, and you bring it back up. Now this is normally how I make my Asian characters. Like if I'm going to make a character Asian, this is how I would do it. So you bring this up, it's a lot more slanted this way because of the almond shape. So you bring this eye around, and this almost drops completely off this way. And then it comes back around. And then you have a very minuscule tear duct. Now for here, hold on, just so we can identify. Now for an Asian eye, I would mostly keep it small, not like a menacing type small. I would still add the eye shine and make the pupil about 3/4 like I taught before, and then shade. And then for here, you want to add more of an eye ridge. Shade this in, shade the whites of the eyes, add the nose ridge, probably make the iris a little bit bigger. So now you've got more of an Asian type eye. Actually, you could not make this bigger, but you could reduce the eye crease. Make it almost non-existent. You don't have to do a Y, you can just do top corner. And that's how you do more Asian eyes. Hold on. Zoom that out a little bit. That's how you do more Asian eyes. So I'm going to leave this space blank. You guys come up with your own ideas. You guys, this is your space to fill. So that's my first video, Season 1, Episode 1 of my character tutorial series. First episode of Eyes. Next week I'll cover probably manga eyes. So I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Alright, I'd like to welcome you guys to my channel. If you've never been here before and you want to see some more of my content, you can click right here for my lens tutorial for my Spider-Man 14-day challenge cosplay series. You can also click right here to see my Agario gaming video. Right here for one of my speed paints. And right here is a little subscribe button. That will take you to my channel. You can go and click the subscribe button, see more of my videos. Any of the videos you want, not just these four because, you know, life. Alright, so like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Buttons. Click that one. It's sitting there. You haven't clicked anything yet. You're just gonna sit there and watch me. Buttons. Click that one. Bye.